Hello and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, BlindBat8719. On today's video, I'm playing for you my Kaya's control deck. Before I do, I'd like to make a small ask of my audience. Hit the subscribe button, help me grow the channel. With that ask out of the way, Kaya the Inexorable is a 5-cost commander, planeswalker. Comes in with 5 loyalty, plus 1 ability, puts a ghost form counter on a target non-token creature that when the creature dies, I get it back to my hand, and I'll leave behind a 1/1 flying spirit token. The -3 ability is the most commonly used one to exile a non-land permanent, and the -7 lets me cast lets me get an emblem that lets me cast a legendary spell from my hand, graveyard, or among cards I own in exile for free, which would include Kaya. Now, I was looking to find ways to play with her. I think I had one of the quests for the daily quest be a cast black or white spells, and I thought, oh hey, maybe build around Kaya. And I originally built an angel themed deck, and it was fun and it did well, but I had been on a control kick, so I wanted to focus on what a white-black control deck can do. Mainly with white and black, they have a lot of removal, and that's usually in hand disruption, so that's usually how they win, by just grinding out games that way, and that's what we plan to do too, is kind of grind our opponent down and use one of our finishers to finish the game. So as I was saying, white and black have a lot of targeted removal, so we're going to go over that pile first. Bloodchief's Thirst and Murderous Rider are the cards that are focused on creature and planeswalker removal. And I believe with the Murderous Rider, if I put the counter on it from Kaya, I get to choose which ability happens, so I would be able to return them back to my hand so I can use Swift End again. Feed the Swarm deals with creatures and enchantments. The Prismatic Bridge is still something to be concerned about, so that is why I keep running a Feed the Swarm in all my black decks. Banishing Light is just more of a catch-all effect to deal with things our opponent might have. Skyclave Apparition is kind of similar to Banishing Light, except it has to be non-token, non-land 4 or less our opponent controls, and this also is a creature, whereas Banishing Light is not. We can also use this to constantly rebuy on it. If I give Skyclave Apparition a counter from Kaya, I can have it die and then constantly take something away from our opponent. Yes, they're going to get the token, but when the Skyclave dies, I get a chump blocker at least. So I think being able to get rid of their stuff and leave them with small creatures that we can ultimately board wipe away is a good deal for my deck. Elspeth's Nightmare is a card that's kind of a catch-all for what my control deck wants to do. It destroys a small creature. I'll get to remove something from my opponent's hand, and I get to exile their graveyard. Those are all great things to be having in a control deck. Face Better is just another removal spell that I can do to interact with planeswalkers so that they can't use their activated abilities. That's kind of mostly why it's in here. Also can use it against creatures. Elspeth Conquers Death is mostly in here for the first chapter about exiling a permanent 3 or greater. So usually when I think I want to target really big things with this, so Terror of the Peak, Vornaclex, the Great Henge are the ones that I think of in the most part. And then Erebos Intervention is to deal with creatures and graveyards. This next pile kind of deals with the non-creature things we can do to our opponent. So Clean the Dust is to interact with another card to interact with our opponent's graveyard. We will mostly try to exile a non-creature thing to try to draw cards with it. But if we get really low on life, we can try to gain 3 life by exiling a creature. And we also can recast it for its escape cost if the game goes on long. Agonizing Remorse, we can target our opponent's graveyard or their hand. We'll probably use it to disrupt their hand, but if they have something like an Uro or a Croak that we don't want in their graveyard, we can do that. Kitesail Freebooter, I remember playing this a lot when Ixalan came out, and it's again one of the few creatures, there's 8 creatures total in the deck, that can disrupt our opponent's hand for a little bit, and then again with Kaya's ability, +1, I can constantly reuse the Freebooter's ability to disrupt my opponent's hand. The board wipes are next. So Extinction Event is good that it exiles things. It can be, depending on how our board state is, it can be a one-sided board wipe potentially based on odds or even. Doomscar just blows everything up. More often than not, I would like to foretell this so I only could pay 3 and then be able to recast something as well. Shadow's Verdict is another card that exiles creatures and planeswalkers that are 3 or less. Also, it takes things out of the graveyard, namely Uro and Kroxa. And so this is a good one that if we let our opponent build up a board state a little bit of small things, we can just wipe them all away in one go. Blood in the Snow destroys a choice of either all creatures or all planeswalkers. Also, the important reason of why I chose to play Snowlands in the deck, because I want to be able to use the second ability to bring something back ultimately. Thankfully, Kaya is less than 6, so that if I have to choose destroy all planeswalker mode, or if she dies the turn I play her and I play this next, I can let her stay in the graveyard, destroy the board, bring her back, and then have an empty battlefield to use her ability and keep her alive. Taste of Death, while not explicitly destroying everything, I feel like sacrificing 3 creatures is still pretty high for some decks. So I do count it as a board wipe, especially since I have a low creature count. I expect it to be a one-sided wipe most of the time. And then it lets me create 3 food tokens that I can use to stabilize and get some more life as the game goes on. Realm Cloak Giant, destroy all non-crying creatures, and then I have a 7/7 Vigilant Beater for the late game, which is nice. These are my card draw spells for the deck. Birth of Meletis, while you may not think of it as a card draw spell, it essentially is by saying, pay 2, and then draw 1 card that has to be a plains. So that's why I put that in here in the deck, and then the benefit of, again, helping against aggressive decks by creating a blocker and gaining life. Maze Mind Tome is just a colorless card that helps me draw more in the deck. Black and white have some card draw options, but not as great as blue, so that's why I'm running the Maze Mind Tome. Tome of Legends, it's for the exact same reason I'm running Tome of Legends. Not a lot of great card draw options in black and white, and we can get extra counters every time Kaya dies and comes back. Foreboding Fruit, I could potentially use this to target my opponent if they're down to 2 life. Probably not going to happen at all, but it is something to keep in mind. I'm just going to try to draw with it as much as I can, and then occasionally pay the Adamant if I can afford to gain some extra life. And then Funeral Rites, just again, to draw 2 cards. The mill 2 thing is just an extra cost, but it's not that terrible. And the mana ramp, there's not as much in this deck, but I do have Arcane Signet, Replicating Ring, that if the game goes really long, I'll get 8 copies or 8 tokens named Replicated Ring to have an absurd amount of mana. And then Solemn Simulacrum is just a great card altogether, so that's why he's in there. This is some of the more interesting cards in the deck. I don't have a really good category for these. But Redain God of the Worthy, if our opponent's choosing to play Snowlands, we can punish them with the creature side, and then anything that they have that costs, it's a non-creature spell, it's 4 or greater, we tax them more, so it's also a good insurance plan or a delay tactic for the Prismatic Bridge. Against more aggressive decks, we have Valkyria Protector's Shield that would prevent any 1 point of damage to myself and permanents I control from my opponent's creature. So a aggressive example I've seen used of this card is my opponent has Skewed Swarm out, and they keep attacking into me, but because this prevents 1 damage, they effectively do nothing to me, which is great. Then there's the added bonus of taxing any things that targets me or creatures I control, so it can hopefully maybe mess my opponent up with how well they manage their mana resources. Drog Necromancer, I think, is a good reason to have Snow as well, being able to cast things that this seed dies that my opponent has. I don't really expect to be able to use them as much because I'm running mostly 2-sided board wipes and there aren't a lot of creatures, but I think that this would be a fun one to try to use. Doom Foretold is a card I've been wanting to try for a while, and I think Kaya fits this deck pretty well. Doom Foretold fits a Kaya deck very well because I could always choose to sacrifice a creature that has a Ghost Form counter on it to constantly be able to pay the Doom Foretold cost, hopefully longer than my opponent can. So that's why I put that into the deck to play with it. And then Archon of Falling Stars, I originally was going to play, and I can't think of the name right now, but the card from Kaldheim that lets me bring back an enchantment from my graveyard to my hand by exiling a creature. However, due to only having 8 creatures in the deck, I just felt like that was a very steep cost to be able to get the ability. So when I was looking around what I could also play instead, I found the Archon. And while it still has to die as opposed to entering the battlefield, I think it's still a good one to play in the deck to try to get rebuy on some of the sagas I have in the deck. And then this next pile here are the finishers I plan on winning with in the deck. So the 2 we're starting out are the lands, Crawling Barrens, and Faceless Haven. These dodge sorcery speed removal, and they have to be dealt with at instant speed, and especially with the Crawling Baron being able to grow to such large lengths. Feldar Retreat. to make a swarm of 2/2 cats and when I have enough of them, I can just start making them bigger and giving them vigilance. Starheim Unleashed. I plan on foretelling this for the most of the time. I would have to be really desperate for a blocker to pay the regular cost. Ideally, I should be able to cast this. I think X equal to 3 would be great to get 3 tokens. This means I could potentially kill the opponent in about 2 turns, give or take, at that state in the game. Firja's Retribution. I like the fact that it can give everything double strike my angel, so ideally I would cast Starheim Unleashed first, or at least before the 3rd chapter goes off on Firja's Retribution. But yeah, I think this is just a fun card to play with, and it's a way for me to have another creature in the deck. Tegrid's Lantern is the card I'm going to try to cast most of the time to cause my opponent to lose life constantly and just untap. I don't really plan on casting Tegrid God of Fright that often. While her ability is pretty powerful, I probably, unless I have something really good to follow up, like as a 1/2 punch with either a discard effect or a targeted removal, targeted removal doesn't really work. I don't really plan on casting Tegrid God of Fright. I plan on casting Lantern to win for most of the time. And then Ugin the Spirit Dragon, because he's colorless, he does a lot of things. He gets rid of everything on the board that could be a problem. And we're black and white, so I felt like this is a good finisher and to work towards. And the last thing to talk about would be the mana base. So I'm running 6 plains, 6 swamps that are snow covered, a Brightway Pathway, and the Snowfield Intake, Temple of Science, Command Tower for mana fixing, and then Fabled Passage to thin the deck and find a land. And then for ability lands, cast an Artful to make 1/1 tokens, Lockthwain to draw a card, Great Hall of Starnheim to hopefully upgrade a creature I might have, or to, if my opponent managed to neutralize one of my creatures, to sacrifice it for an upgrade. Field of Ruin to blow up something I don't want my opponents to have, and then Labyrinth of Skophos to help protect me or my Planeswalker. And with the deck tech out of the way, let's jump into the arena for some brawls. This hand seems fine. We're playing against Don Burner, 3491, piloting Alela, the Artful Provocateur. So most of these decks are artifact and enchantment heavy, and we get some non-creature interaction. We have the Doomscar to blow everything up, and mana looks fine. I'm going to keep this. Alright, Temple the Seat. They scry 1 to the top. They like it. Start by saying hello to our opponent, and then leading with the Snowfield Sinkhole. I would say next turn, probably going to go off with the Kitesail Freebooter, non-creature, non-land card. Just to start off with that, see what they have, and then probably on 3, foretell the Doomscar. Let's see, what do they have? Epic Downfall doesn't really worry us that much. Probably Blood on the Snow. I'm going to take Blood on the Snow here. I can see me wiping the board and them getting it back to kill Kaya, but I think I could plan for that inevitability. If I foretell this, I can wait a turn, wipe everything, and then with the counter on the Kitesail from Kaya, recast it to get the Blood on the Snow out of the way. Alright, so let's play out the Swamp. And let's foretell this. So they have Woe Strider, Realm Cloak Giants, Epic Downfall. Oh, let's attack it to 3 points of damage in. So they're going to have 4. Heartless Sack. Okay. Alright, they cast the Woe Strider. I think I'm fine playing out the Swamp here. This will exile. Okay, the Epic Downfall, mana cost 3 or greater, so that means that would die to that. I don't think I got really a good play here. Banishing Light. I think I'm just going to pass the turn here. It feels bad not being able to do anything, but I think Banishing Light, the creature, just seems silly when I can easily just blow everything up. So we'll take the 3 here. Doom Foretold gets to be interesting. I gotta think about that. Crack the Fable Passage. Let's go for a white source. So if I play out Kaya, they'll most likely probably use Blood on the Snow and bring back... Oh, they can't bring back the Ghost Rider with it. So that actually might be the safer play right now. Because then I need to recast her, and then I have magic against their stuff. Alright, I think I'm going to do that. Because they blow it up next turn. Totally fine with that.
Just gotta have one more monster. How hard could it be?
And when they blow that up, I don't have the 6 lands, so I could potentially have to wait on using Blood in the Snow.
When I say go,
But that might be the better one to start off with, and then Doom Foretold could be a possibility as well. If they don't do anything, I can definitely see the play being play out the Drog's Necromancer. Since this is a sorcery, I can put the +1 from Kaya onto it. There we go. Expected that play. Totally fine. I want to decline this for now. Ooh. It deals with creatures. Let's try out playing Tigris Lantern for right now. And we'll just force him to lose some life. Or they're going to sacrifice the thing. I think they'll just take the life at this point. Alright, they chose to cast Alela. They have nothing else. So the question now becomes, do they have a counterspell? I feel like they probably do. And the ones I'm worried about, I can't do anything about. Other than maybe saying Banishing Light. If I do Banishing Light, that leaves me with a Doomscar left over, which isn't that great for me, I feel like. So I think I'm going to start with Elspeth Conquers Death. Alright, that resolves. Good. This now lets me be another way for me to bring back Kaya, thankfully. And we'll just make them lose the life now. They're not going to sacrifice this Arcane Signet unless it gets really dicey. Righteous Valkyrie. Gaining life. Okay. Splendid Marshal. Alrighty now, let's see. So Doom Foretold I think would be still a bad option for me. Because I want to hold on to the Lantern. I don't see the point in using Blood on the Snow just yet. I think I want to wait for the Draugr until I get Kaya back. So I think I'll just use the Doomscar now. Alright, and then let's make them choose to lose life, and we can untap it next turn. Alright, Indulging Patrician, some more life gain. Untap. Probably should have done that before they cast the Indulging Patrician. Oh. Alright, let's bring back Kaya. Extra loyalty.
if the job is wrong, I change the terms.
Play him out. Put a counter there.
Ghosting feels weird, right?
And I would say let's play Banishing Light on the Patrician. Next turn we'll have Kaya go off. And then I'll be able to get the emblem so that even though she dies, I can get her for free next turn. I'll let her stay in the graveyard. Alright, that worked out like I wanted it to, which was good. Alright, we got our opponent to concede. Don Burner 3491, thank you very much for the game. Let's go on to the next one. I'm going to keep this hand primarily because of the fact that we have Feed the Swarm and we're playing against Sheepish Carl piloting an Esika, God of the Tree deck, which is probably basically going to be casting Prismatic Bridge, so this will deal with that. So we're going to keep the 7 here. It's nice that we have an early attacker here, or no, sorry, an early kill spell. They play like a Lotus Cobra. Rag of Triumph. I think Taste of Death is another good one to have right now. Let's say hello to the opponent and start off with the Swamp. Forest into Arcane Signet, and they're playing Snowland, so that's something to keep in mind. Plains, we'll play our Arcane Signet. Alright, Indeath of Triumph. So they're getting their colors started up with. And we're drawing lands, which is a good sign. I think I'll try making the first move here and start by playing the Necromancer out. Whirlwind Denial, okay. Wasn't expecting the counter spell, but that's fine. Whirlwind of Thought is pretty good. They are short on lands. Alright, so let's play out the white here. And I think we'll just start by playing out Kaya and we'll exile the Whirlwind. So this way then they can't be drawing any more cards. If they get rid of Kaya, not the worst thing in the world. I'm expecting them to bait them into casting the Prismatic Bridge. Oh, that is nice.
I won't stand by as innocent people are slaughtered.
There goes the Blood Chief's Thirst. Let's take the action, put that in the command zone. So there's a good question. Do I do... I think I'm going to use the Blood Chief's Thirst and hold on to the Elspeth Conqueror's Death, as that can also deal with the bridge. Now I am falling into a part where it is tricky that, I mean, I might have to play the Archon out and then follow up an Elspeth later on, but I don't have any ways of attacking their life total at the moment. It's just a matter of who can stick the first threat. Let's see now. I could play out Kaya again, or I could do Elspeth Conqueror's Death on the bridge and then work towards getting back the Dragon Necromancer. I'm kind of liking that play, and then I can set up for an Archon to get back the Elspeth Conqueror's Death potentially. Alright, so that gets rid of that. And we'll pass the turn. They may be, depending on how the land situation goes, they may just end up conceding to us as they weren't able to draw any lands to keep up. Skyclave Relic. Alright, so they're going to keep playing for a little bit. Alright, I'll just crack the Fable Passage. And let's go for a Black Source. Alright, Shadow's Verdict. So any counter spells they have now, if they had any, will cost a little bit more. Now I have a couple of choices. I could play the Archon out to set up for the return of Elspeth here. I could just play out Kaya and get rid of the Skyclave Relic instead. Trying to think which one's more. This one's more proactive, maybe. Tell them we're thinking, so they don't think we're stringing them along. Turn target enchantment. But then they untap, kill them, and I have nothing back. So I think I'm going to go with the Kaya play here. And I'm going to go after the relic. So let's get rid of the relic. I know this can be seen as mean at times, and I think I wouldn't ordinarily do this, but I think it's the best play I have at the moment. Now they're picking a blue. They may just consider bouncing her, which is still great for me, actually.
When I say go, you go.
They can't actually cast the bounce spell now that I think about it because of the second chapter. Okay, they're foretelling a card. Gonna let the Draugr come back. +1/+1 counter. First thing I'm gonna do is use the plus ability to bring him back. So they have to kill him now if they do have a kill spell. Alright, not the worst. That actually is fine, because I was thinking about playing the Archon out, but instead I think Agonizing Remorse to see what they have. And then we follow it with the Draugr again. Ooh. Disdainful Stroke. I think I gotta take the Disdainful Stroke here. If they decide to use Ash Shock to bounce the Draugr, I'll probably just use Shadow's Verdict instead. Or, I'm sorry, when they bounce and use the ability to get rid of something, I'll probably exile the Shadow's Verdict. Because they don't have anything that I want to get out of the graveyard.
Listen to your pain. It whispers grand ideas.
Well, they're putting Kaya. Put Kaya. Oh, okay. Put Kaya into my hand. I wasn't expecting my Kaya. Probably should get the 3 on there. Let's get rid of the Shadow's Verdict.
Surrender. Every
Alright, so let's get rid of
fear.
Ash Shock. Maybe one of this is a Doom Scar as the Foretell card.
Sated elsewhere.
I think I want to get started by casting the Archon. This way, then and then next turn maybe start out with playing. I'll play the Retribution, so I can play that with a Feed the Swarm if I need to. And this way, then if they kill this now, I'm guaranteed to get back at least the Elspeth Conquers Death. Of course, they have the Exile, and those are both even. Alright, 4, 8. Let's just play out Kaya now. Do I have exiled? Nothing legendary.
Get in, get out, and finish the job.
I'm going to be mean again and get rid of the Arcane Signet. I mean, I could plus here, but I don't really see the point. I don't have anything legendary to be casting right now off of her, so they gave me the free 5 cost on her. So I might as well take advantage and interact with their board at least. Alrighty. I'm just going to plus Kaya, submit 0. They have the Mystical Dispute. Let's just go play out the Retribution as opposed to playing out the Ring. Yeah, alright, so let's pay the 3. Yeah, I realized they still had that in their hand. I would love to have played Replicating Ring into this, but they probably will let the Ring resolve. Realize they're short on mana and then counter this, and this is the one I really wanted to resolve. 6 mana, so they can actually use the World Tree, so everything now has taps for anything. Feed the Swarm. Alright, there goes the enchantment. One card that is foretelled. So let's go with that there. Non-token creature. So submit 0. Play out the Locthwain. Play out the Ring. And then we'll probably start drawing an extra card with the Castle Locthwain. Take 3 on damage on this one time. Triome was fine. They're probably trying to survive long enough to cast the bridge again, I think. Because I would have probably cycled it there. Oh, there's the Doom Scar. Okay. Extinction Event. Banishing Light. Submit 0. And I think at this point, just pass the turn. Now the question comes down, do I want to lose 5 life to draw a card? 3 is pretty easy to accept. Alright, Garrett.
You ever listen to the crickets? That's my kind of music. You're
Well, I'm not
scared
totally
of
worried about
dogs,
this
are
now.
ya?
I think it's worth losing the 5 here. Extinction Event. Naming even. Now, do I use Banishing Light? I think I'm just going to use Kaya's ability there.
It's the least.
I've got better friends in the
And
wilds
let me
anyway.
play out God of the Worthy. Now, if they have to draw a land, I'll come into play tapped. Not that they want to be drawing lands at this point, but I think 3, 6, 7. Actually, yeah, the Redain's actually a good play here too, because now actually they can't even cast the bridge, because I just totally priced them out of it. So if we untap with Redain and they don't have a removal spell, we'll put Kaya to put the counter on there to keep Redain around, hopefully. More cycling, totally fine. And I'm going to draw another card. Play out Castle Ardenvale. Plus counter on Redain.
You'll be fine. Trust me.
And I think I'll stop drawing cards. I think we have a good set for the most part. Alter the Pantheon. We might try to play Esika next turn so they can start gaining life with the altar. And that'll be fine because maybe I'll use Banishing Light. Or Feed the Swarm. One of the two on that. Probably use Banishing Light instead. Planes. I have no idea what happens if I have multiple counters on, so that'll be interesting to see what happens. And we're looking at possibly a 3-turn clock. So I'll play out Castle Ardenvale. I think they're going to play Esika out here next. Oh, they're still holding out hope, I guess? Alright, we're going to do this. Or I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to use Field of Ruin.
Well, you're not liking for spirit.
Oh, actually, cancel. Do that during the upkeep. Yeah. Alright, still fine. Clicked a little too happy there. We'll open the World Tree now. So this way then the land they search for comes into play tapped. And actually it was probably fine that I let them drew the card, as that means they're more likely to draw a land as opposed to I filtered one out for them ahead of time. But yeah, so that's how we kind of want to win the game, and just get rid of everything on our opponent's side of the field and then have a stick a threat and swing in. So Sheepish Carl, thank you very much for the game. Let's go on to the next one. This hand, I think I'm going to mulligan. We're playing against Stranger Deep, piloting an Atris Oracle of Half-Truth deck. And it's blue-black control most likely. And this isn't really set up for a control matchup. This does a little something. This can maybe kill a creature or a planeswalker in a finisher, but they're going to have blue counter magic. So I'm going to take the mulligan real quick, see if we get any. Not much better, really. Another mulligan. I'm going to give this one a try. And I would say let's get rid of the Shadow's Verdict since I don't really expect a lot of creatures from them. But the Face Fetters, if they have an Ash Shock, could be useful. We can kill something here. We can try to refresh the hand. Say hello to the opponent. And the Kitesail Freebooter is exactly the card that I kind of wanted to draw. I know I really only have 2 hand disruption spells, and maybe it would mathematically isn't right to try to mulligan to one of 2 spells in the deck. It just paid off in this time around. I'm just going to turn the auto pass on so they don't keep seeing about the Erebos Intervention. Play out the white source. And let's see if they have a counter spell for creatures on 2. Jawari Disruption. Alright, so it's going to be one of those games. And let's see if we can draw some cards now. Alright, no problem with the card draw, that's good. What I don't like about Atris is I'm really terrible at picking the piles. 4. Let's go with Solemn. We'll get a Swamp. Next turn we can play out Kaya. They have their Solemn, which is good for them. I think using Kaya here is good. We're just going to minus the ability so they don't draw the card.
Want a job done right. Higher. Too easy.
Because if I were to just plus, I couldn't attack with Solemn, and they wouldn't have blocked to trade the draw card draw there, I would say, especially knowing that I would get the 1/1 flyer back. Eat to Extinction is fine.
Whatever. I'll bounce
We have the Mana of the Recaster, which is good, and then we can put a plus counter on Solemn. They do have a possible blue open, not anymore. I think now would be a good time to try to cast Kaya, since I have an empty board state.
when you can walk through walls.
As opposed to trying to set with Birth of Meletis, I think just, again, board state's empty, they're tapped out, they can't counter her. Now they have to have another piece of removal, and my hand is essentially all removal. What's nice too is I can play out the Great Hall with the Birth of Meletis and turn the 0/4 Defender into a 4/4 Angel. And that's what I want to try and do. So let's just get out a Birth of Meletis. And I think actually what I'm going to do here, submit 0. I'm going to play out the Labyrinth of Scophlos since I drew it. To be careful if they have a flash creature they might want to bring in, since Kai is now at 7. They might want to try to deal with that soon. See? So that's why I played out the land just to be on the safe side. Now this is as X minus X. Pass. Or remove that from attacking. Now it's entirely possible they have Sublime Epiphany in their hand, as that's one of the few cards that could stop the Labyrinth of Scophlos. Or again, they're just now going to waste their time on a removal spell. And we have, I think, the lands to recast Kaya if we need to, though I think I might be better off using... I could do Erebos Intervention or the Face Fetters. I like the idea of saving the Face Fetters more for a Planeswalker, specifically an Ashiok. Brazen Borrower. Alright, that's fine with me. And we're thinking about the text. Sacrifice, sacrifice. Graveyard to hand. Alright, this is the unfun part. These are both even though, so it's great for the Extinction Event. Oof. I think they'll want the Ugin. I think giving them these two is probably the better option for right now. Took the one card. I think even if I put the Ugin face up, I think they were probably going to go for that. So I would say let's start with... Oh, I don't get to do my trick. Oh, well. If I don't get to do my trick... Because we have to name even here. Let's go with even. I'm going to just play out the planes here now. I expect him to go with Ugin. In which case then we'll face Fetters. There's no point in playing out a Kaya when they're going to... Dang it! Alright, so now I have to play the Kaya. Or I could play out the Banishing Lights. Yeah, let's go with the Banishing Lights. Let's see if I do Banishing Lights on Cure Best of Sea God. They get it all back. Do I have enough mana to... And they'll get 2 tokens then. I think I have to use Kaya here. I'm still probably going to be squandered either way because...
When I say go, you go.
They can play Ugin out +2 as opposed to -5. So that would probably kill her that way. I can't target this thing. I forgot, so the Skullflux doesn't do me any good either right now. I still think it was the right call to play out Kaya then as opposed to Banishing Light because Banishing Light would just... they would exile it with Ugin and they get another 8/8 and there's the Teferi.
Who's ready for a good time? Time to improvise.
Now this gets to become a tough decision. Oh, we have an eternal blocker now, thankfully. If I use face Fetters, they -4, they get everything back. I really need a Blood in the Snow to defeat the Ugin with a Teferi. Can this phase out tokens? This can phase out tokens, so I have to deal with it now. If this resolves, then... Or if this doesn't resolve, I'll probably start to tap out my black mana to try to save on the white for the face Fetters. But I think I might be taking 8. This with the speed is gone. I'll take the Teferi. They already used the major bounce spell that blue decks play.
I must have missed something.
And I'm just going to pass the turn here. Alright, Brazen Borrower. That resolves. Oops, not with the face. X equal to... Do I want 1? I can get some more life off of this. I can do 2. Gain a little extra life. I may have telegraphed my play a little too obviously. Alright, let's try this game again. Well, he knows that last time I hid the more important card. So I thought maybe I'll try to mess with him this time. Alright, so I was able to mess with him this time. Make the blocker. Murderous Rider. So now the decision comes, do I try to kill Atris, or do I use the Faith's Fetter? If I use Faith's Fetter, he minuses 4. That kind of gets rid of everything and then leaves my opponent with a Teferi with a Banishing Light. I can then on my turn, or on their turn, use the Murderous Rider to kill the Ugin, and I'm left with Kaya. I think I like that play. I may have to end up taking 8 this round, but I think this is a good start for the Faith's Fetters. And this way, by it not dying, they can't get another rebuy on card draw. Entirely possible that they're also going to just minus the 3 and keep Atris around, but I would think if they go with Ugin, the two possibilities are they either minus 4 to clear and get Teferi back, in which case then I can just use Murderous Rider to kill one or the other. Probably actually start off by killing Teferi, as I can try to find them a counter spell. Make the token. Yeah, I was right with my math. I have 2 short, so now might be the time for him to swing in with an Ugin. But if I'm getting them to use the creature removal on my tokens, I feel like I'm coming ahead anyways. Well, I kind of have to go for this. I'm going to take another 8 if this fails. But I can just minus 0, and that deals with my token problem. Alright, looks like they're going to be glimpsing. Try to draw another card here. How many do they have in their graveyard? They could glimpse again if they really want to. Now again, if they play out Ugin, typical play would be to Blast Mine for 3 to bring them down to 4. In which case I still get a chance to use Murderous Rider on Ugin. If they minus 4 their Ugin, they get back to Fairy, but then I get to kill their Ugin with my Ugin. How many cards are they down to in there? They have 27 left. I have 37. They're going to lose the mill game first if we go that long, but they also, they're a blue deck, they're probably running a midnight clock, in which case they would put all their mana into resolving that. Feed the Swarm. Alright. Leaves them with 7 mana left over.
This isn't my first time being the hero.
His minus ability is for creatures, so it doesn't work affect planeswalkers. That's good. Now the question I'm debating about is, do I go after Fairy with Ugin? I think I start by trying to Murderous Rider to Fairy. They've already used the ability. So we'll see if they have the counter spell here.
Time's up.
They don't. That's good. I'm going to start by playing out the Draugr. I don't know how this works. I think active player, non-active player, so they probably get their Murderous Rider trigger. Cancel. Okay. That's fine. Alright, so I need 9 mana for Kaya. 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm a mana short. Not entirely the worst thing in the world.
Not ignore my
That's fine. If I take 3 out, I still have 1, 2. I still have 5 left over, so I can play another. Alright, so yeah, we're good. We'll play out Murderous Rider. As a blocker, I can make a token if I need to. I can stop something with the Labyrinth. So we're good on mana in that regard. I could also actually make a token, swing in with it, and then sacrifice the Great Hall if necessary to... Alright, Ugin.
This is fragile and fleeting.
3 damage to mine.
My flames burn beyond.
They'll probably draw theirs before I draw mine. But it's not the worst thing in the world. Just need to create the token. Doomscar doesn't do me any good right now. I guess I just play out Kaya and get rid of Ugin, honestly. Seems like the best
Time
play.
to focus. I got a
Oh,
job
there we go. We got the good game from our opponent.
and stay gone.
I lead you to your doom.
3 to them.
Do not ignore my draconic talent.
And then let's just foretell this just so we have it. If they don't deal with the Ugin, I believe I'm gonna pop him so that I can get a refresh in my hand. Anticipate. Alright, that doesn't do anything to help out. I almost like they have to draw it back to the Murderous Rider, but they're still... I think they're still immovable. Alright, they weren't able to draw it to anything. Woohoo! Stranger D, thank you very much for the game, and let's move on to the next one. And that is the video for today. I had a fun time playing this control deck. It did what it wanted to do. It blew up some creatures. It controlled my opponent's permanents. And basically does what every control deck wants to do, is to get the board state in such a way and to get my opponent into a position where they have to submit and give up the game. We didn't ever beat them down by bringing them life total down to 0, but we just had such a dominating board presence and run out their resources so they wouldn't be able to compete with us. Anything that I would want to change with the deck, not at the moment. Everything still seemed to be okay. There were some things that were a little lackluster just because of what our opponent did, like the Firja's Retribution being blown up before anything further happened with it. But all in all, I'm very happy with this deck and plan on playing with it into the future. But let me know what you think of the deck in the comment section down below. If you liked today's video, please click the thumbs up icon down below. If you really like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing to the channel and help me grow. As always, thank you for visiting the Bat Cave, and have a great day.